Have you ever had a bad morning that somehow ruined your entire day? It starts with one small thing. A rude comment, a minor accident, or, in the case of one farmer, a sudden, vicious dog bite. But what if I told you that anger isn't just an emotion? It's a virus. Today, we are diving into a powerful, unforgettable story about how a single second of rage traveled through an entire village, destroying lives along the way. Watch this video until the very end, because the final twist will show you exactly how the pain we give to the world has a terrifying way of finding its way right back to us. You will never look at a bad day the same way again. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Spark. The morning air was crisp and quiet. A lone farmer walked down the dusty dirt road, his mind filled with thoughts of the day's chores. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon, casting long, peaceful shadows across the ground. Suddenly, the silence was shattered. From the thick bushes by the side of the road, a stray dog lunged forward. Before the farmer could even react, sharp teeth sank deep into his leg. "Ah!" the farmer screamed in pain. The dog let go, backed away, and bared its teeth, growling fiercely. The farmer's face turned bright red. The physical pain instantly transformed into a roaring wave of fury. "You stupid animal," he roared, clutching his bleeding leg. "I will teach you a lesson you'll never forget." He bent down and frantically grabbed a heavy stone from the dirt. He aimed and threw it with all his might. Whoosh! It missed, thumping harmlessly into the grass. Gasping for breath, he picked up a second stone and hurled it. Missed again. He grabbed a third stone, his vision blurry with rage, and threw it. The stone sailed wide. Every single time, he missed. Seeing the man's wild fury, the dog turned around and bolted down the road, disappearing into the distance. The farmer stood completely still in the middle of the empty road, breathing heavily. His chest heaved up and down. His leg throbbed with pain, but the wound in his heart, his wounded pride and boiling anger, hurt far more. "Fine. Run away," he muttered, his voice trembling with bitter rage. The dog was gone, escaped into the safety of the woods. But the farmer's anger had nowhere to go. It remained trapped inside him, burning hot and looking for an exit. Chapter 2. The Fire Spreads. Later that afternoon, the farmer finally arrived at his fields. Under the hot sun, his workers had been sweating and straining since the early hours of the dawn. Their backs were sore, and their hands were calloused, but they were working as hard as they could. But the farmer didn't see their hard work. He walked into the field with the morning's fire still raging fiercely inside his chest. He looked at his men and snapped. "What is wrong with all of you?" he shouted, his voice echoing across the quiet fields. "Do you even know how to work? All you do is sit around, talk, and waste my time and money." The workers froze. They looked at each other in utter shock. The lively sounds of the farm instantly died down into a heavy, suffocating silence. Among them was an old worker. He had served the farmer loyally for many years, giving his youth and strength to these fields. He slowly lowered his head, unable to look his master in the eye. His eyes filled with deep hurt. In all his decades of labor, he had never felt so insulted, so unappreciated, and so deeply disrespected. When the workday ended, the old man did not wash up as usual. He slowly, quietly packed his few personal belongings into a small cloth bundle. As he walked away from the farm for the last time, he looked back and whispered to the wind. "For years, I worked here with my hands. But today my heart got tired." Chapter 3. The Echo in the Home. Feeling heavy-hearted and deeply frustrated, the old man did not go straight home. He stopped at a local tavern. He sat alone in a dark corner and ordered a drink. "I just want some peace," he whispered to himself, staring into his glass. Just a little bit of peace. But peace never came. The alcohol could not drown out the insults. The farmer's harsh, mocking words kept echoing loudly in his mind, over and over again, fueling a dark bitterness inside him. Finally, he gave up, paid his bill, and dragged his heavy feet toward his house. When he pushed the door open and stepped inside, the warm smell of dinner greeted him. His wife looked up from the stove and smiled gently. "You're late tonight, my dear," she said softly, her voice full of genuine concern. "Is everything okay?" But the old man didn't see her love. He only felt his own humiliated pride. He snapped instantly. "Do you think I go to work just to play games all day?" he roared. Before she could even respond, his hand flew through the air. Slap. The sound was sharp and loud. His wife stumbled back, holding her stinging cheek in absolute shock. Tears sprang to her eyes, but as she looked at her husband, the sadness slowly turned into a cold, bitter anger. A few moments later, the husband stormed out of the room, leaving a heavy cloud of tension behind. The wife stood in the kitchen, her heart pounding with unearned shame. Just then, she noticed their young son. The little boy was sitting quietly in the corner of the room, playing with a small wooden toy, trying to make himself invisible. The mother's pent-up rage boiled over. She marched over and shouted at the innocent child, "Why are you just sitting there doing nothing? Can't you help with anything around this house?" Slap. She struck him even harder than her husband had struck her. The little boy froze completely. The toy dropped from his hand. Large, heavy tears filled his eyes and rolled down his cheeks. He looked around the room silently. The warmth was gone. The safety was gone. This wasn't home anymore. Without saying a single word, the boy wiped his tears. He packed a few of his things into a small bag, opened the door, and walked out into the dark, cold night. Chapter 4. The Circle Completes. The little boy walked down the dark, lonely road. The night air bit at his skin, and his eyes were still blurred with tears of confusion and hurt. He hadn't done anything wrong. Why did his mother hate him? Why was the world so cruel? Suddenly, a low growl came from the shadows. A stray dog stepped out into the moonlight, baring its teeth, and started barking aggressively at the boy. The boy stopped. He looked at the barking animal, and in that moment, all the pain, all the confusion, and all the unfairness of the entire day rushed to the surface of his young heart. He couldn't fight his mother. He couldn't fight his father. But he could fight this. "Leave me alone," the boy screamed. With all the strength in his small body, he swung his leg and kicked the dog hard in the ribs. The dog yelped in pain and fell to the ground instantly, whimpering in the dirt. It was the very same dog. The exact same dog that had bitten the farmer early that morning. Epilogue: The Law of Echoes. Pain does not simply disappear into thin air. It travels. It moves from person to person, disguised as anger, looking for an outlet. One angry moment creates another. One hurt person inflicts hurt onto someone else. And like a boomerang thrown into the wind, one day, it comes all the way back to where it started. Never pass your pain on to innocent people. Anger spreads faster than a wildfire in a dry forest. Be careful of what you put out into the world, because what you send out always finds its way back to you. And just like that, the circle was complete. The very pain the farmer threw out into the world came right back to bite him. Pain doesn't just disappear, friends. It travels. The next time you are angry, remember this story. Break the chain. Don't pass your fire to innocent people. If this story touched your heart or made you think, please hit that like button. It helps us spread these messages to more people who might need to hear them today. Comment below. Have you ever seen anger travel like this in real life? I read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily stories. Thank you for watching, protect your peace, and I'll see you in the next story.